When it comes to home loans, credit is the gatekeeper. It is the differentiator. So today I am going to break down some of the most common questions I get on this channel about credit. I only have a TransUnion credit score. I was told it's important to have all three of them if I wanted to get a house someday because they average those scores together. How do I begin working on Equifax and Experian? Okay, lots to chunk down here. First, you can get a home loan with just one credit score. So don't stress that you have to go and build out all three credit scores. So just know one credit score doesn't rule you out. Secondly, they don't average the scores. So the lending guidelines are going to take the middle score. If there are three scores, generally, most often that's going to be TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. And then from a lending guideline standpoint, they're going to take the middle score of the three different credit scores. So the middle score is going to drive how you're going to be approved. It could potentially impact the terms of your loan, the interest rate, the cost of mortgage insurance if it's a conventional loan, etc. Not an average, it's actually the middle. And then lastly, how do you begin working on establishing Equifax and Experian? Well, a lot of people don't realize that creditors don't necessarily report to all three credit bureaus. So if you're very focused on establishing an Experian and an Equifax score, you're going to want to open a trade line or some type of credit with a company that's going to report to one or both of those credit bureaus. So you can easily ask if you're looking to open a new credit card, let's say, or maybe you're taking out a car loan. You can ask them, hey, do you report to all three credit bureaus? And if they say yes, then great. You have just met the last two credit bureaus that you're looking for. Keep in mind, too, that not all three credit bureaus are going to have the same credit score. And this is like something that blows people's minds because the time that they report is going to vary depending on the three. Also, let's say you have multiple trade accounts. For example, you already have one with TransUnion. So let's say you're opening up a new credit card and now it's going to report to all three credit bureaus in addition to the one you already have reporting with TransUnion. So your score on TransUnion is going to look different because it now has two different lines of credit reporting on it, whereas Experian and Equifax may only have one. So lots to unpack there. Hopefully that helps. All right, let's move on to question number 2. It's been bugging me why my Experian score is a full 50 points below the other two agencies. Now, I understand and appreciate everything you said about how scores can differ and why, but I still feel such a vast discrepancy should be investigated. 10 or 20 points I can understand, but something just isn't right here. Just one person's opinion. You did clear up a lot, though, and it is much appreciated. I hear ya. I do. But the reality is there's something going on with that one credit bureau that isn't replicating over to the others. And so the investigative work, I'm trying to figure out what is it. Maybe it has newer trade lines on it. Maybe maybe it has less trade lines on it. Again, all the things I said in that initial video are going to be potential reasons why, but I don't know that I have a solution for you other than I hear ya. I hear ya. All right, number 3. My Experian score is 690. I am trying to repair my credit and have been making on-time payments, which caused Experian to go up. Awesome. I know how hard that is, so kudos to you. But yet both TransUnion and Equifax have remained at a low of 620 in the past months. What can I do as a consumer to have them reflect a more current upgraded score? What you want to do is really better understand what's reporting on those two credit bureaus and what is different on those credit bureaus as opposed to the Experian credit bureau. I would guess that Experian has maybe additional trade lines or maybe has less delinquency or maybe it has a credit card that has a lower balance to the limit, whereas maybe a credit card, for example, that's reporting on TransUnion or Equifax, maybe it's maxed out because you haven't focused on attacking that one yet. Maybe Experian had a less derogatory credit when you had ran into credit issues in the past. So again, like this is really where kind of almost being a detective. You can get your copies of your credit report through annualcreditreport.com. It's free for all of us here in the United States. You can request it from each one of the credit bureaus. You can lay it out on your desk and just do like a line item comparison. And that's really going to show you the differences in what's being reported. So the way to get Experian and TransUnion score up is to better understand what's currently keeping the score at that 620, and then talk to a experienced credit or mortgage expert that can better understand what's happening, because then we can give you advice on, hey, do this, do this, do this to try to get that score up. But I love the fact and the diligence. I know it's not easy to reset, but guys, if I know anything, life happens. And sometimes you're going to run into situations where maybe you've had to go late on credit, or you had a collection or whatever. Just know that this too shall pass. With a focused plan, you can get yourself out of this. All right, number 4. So basically, each credit card company chooses which bureau they report to. Yeah, there's no additional response there other than that's correct. The creditor can report to no credit bureaus. They can choose to report to 1, 2, or 3. It costs them money when they report, so that's why some may only report to 1. So again, if you're really focused on increasing all of your credit scores because you are going to buy a house, or you're just in that mode of you really want to maximize but all 3 credit bureaus, understanding before you apply, hey, Mr. Creditor, how do you report and on what credit bureaus do you report on, will be helpful to you. The last one, how credit scores are determined. You need to tell them about FICO 8 score that they advertise isn't the credit score mortgage companies use, and could be up to 100 points lower than FICO 8, and also will knock you out of getting a house. These credit bureaus need to be sued. The best way to approach this is to know that there are so many different credit scoring models out there. And the type of entity that is pulling your credit for you to obtain credit in this example, that type of entity is going to drive which type of credit reporting model that they're using. So you're right, as a consumer, it can be so confusing because we all have access now to our credit scores. But the question is, what credit score do you have access to? And in this case, FICO 8 is going to give you a different score that may not be aligned with the credit scores that you're going to see if you're going through the home loan pre-approval process. So there's finally some headwinds taking place with regard to the mortgage industry changing the credit bureau requirements that lenders use. And frankly, the bureaus that we have to use, according to the guidelines, they're outdated. They haven't been progressing with all of the trends with regard to credit and credit bureaus. You may have heard 10T has been approved for the mortgage industry. So this is a big deal. What we don't know yet is just the timing in which it's actually going to be in play. There's a lot that goes into it because remember, from a home lending standpoint, and even if own lender, let's say, it's a risk-based business. So you have years of experience with these credit models that have proven and given you intel on repayment trends and history. So if you change that and you move into a new credit model, which is the 10T, let's say, and it will happen, it's just when, now you've got to reassess the practice of how you're going to determine repayment. Because at the end of the day, whenever you're lending money, the hope is that you get repaid the money that you're lending. And so, I know it's not necessarily a simple answer, but the 10T credit scoring model we're very excited about because it is going to be more of a trended credit type of profile, whereas the models that we use now are kind of like one and done. We take the picture, it tells us a story, but it tells us a story based on that moment in time. Whereas the 10T, again, is going to be trended over time. So if you're somebody that has a long credit history, if you're somebody that always pays off your credit cards monthly, it's going to now show different on a credit score standpoint than when compared to the current model. So we'll see. We don't know exactly when it's going to take effect, but finally we're seeing some headwinds there. Was that helpful? And do you have more questions? If so, drop it in the comments. You never know, I may be doing a video on it.